Good morning, everybody. Rebecca here. The time is 7:02 a.m. and the date is 7/13/2025. I hope you all are doing well this morning. We are going to be talking about volcanoes and icebergs. So, everybody's noticed that there's been big rumbling in the Ring of Fire, and volcanoes in multiple states have been going rumbling. Well, according to the news, volcanoes in Alaska, Washington State, Oregon, and Hawaii have recently been rumbling and even spewing lava, enough to spark a swarm of news stories. But despite the jolts and tremblers, geologists say there's no cause for alarm. That's when I say worry. Volcanoes can be unpredictable, and there's always a chance that something bad will happen. But these recent seismic events along the Pacific Ring of Fire from Alaska to Washington to offshore Oregon are probably not directly related to each other, and that's coming from Natalia Rupert, a seismologist with the U.S. Geological Survey Earthquake Science Center in Seattle. They state that this is what volcanoes do. They come to life for a while. Sometimes the earthquake activity leads to an eruption, and sometimes it doesn't. Most of the U.S. volcanoes that have been making themselves known since the spring woke up and then went back to sleep. Two, one in Hawaii and one in Alaska, are in the midst of active and ongoing but relatively small and non-threatening eruptions. There's no direct connection between any of these, according to Rupert. The distance between these seismic activity centers is thousands of miles. While volcanoes have always been a part of the West Coast geography, it might seem that this is especially busy time for the mountains caused by fissures in the Earth's crust that go down to the mantle below. Seismologists and volcanologists are keeping a careful eye on them. This is why the federal government funds earthquakes and volcano monitoring efforts through the Department of the Interior and USGS, according to Rupert. More than 300 earthquakes occurred at Washington State's Mount Rainier in early July, the largest earthquake swarm ever recorded at the volcano. The swarm, a cluster of earthquakes in the same area in rapid succession, began July 8th. Within 2 days, a total of 334 earthquakes had been identified by the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. But it's not hugely unusual for the majestic volcano, about 70 miles southeast of Seattle. So let's take a look, and I'm going to show y'all where Mount Rainier is. Now, I've been there, and it is a very, very beautiful, beautiful volcano. You can walk up on the volcano, up in the areas up here. So this is Mount Rainier. Okay, but it's not hugely unusual for the majestic volcano, about 70 miles southeast of Seattle, to have quakes, which registered a similar swarm of quakes in 2009. Rainier's last eruption, however, was 1,000 years ago. North of Washington State, Alaska has 3 volcanoes that are making themselves felt now. So let's go to Alaska. We'll go to Alaska. So here we have Alaska. As of July 10th, Alaska's Great Sitkin volcano, and let's find Great Sitkin. And then we have Great Sitkin. Oh, it's way over here. There's Great Sitkin volcano. As of the July 10th, Alaska's Great Sitkin volcano was on watch alert level, with lava continuing to erupt in the summit crater. Located in the Aleutian Islands, the volcano's seismicity levels remain low with occasional small earthquakes, and that's according to the USGS. That eruption began on May 2021. There has been an ongoing eruption of lava at the summit since July 2021. On Alaska's Kenai Peninsula, and this is Iliamna volcano. So let's get Iliamna. Iliamna. Which is over here. Let me do this, because this one you might be able to see it better if I... Okay, that's Iliamna. On Alaska's Kenai Peninsula, a flurry of small earthquakes shook the Iliamna volcano on June 15th. However, no service activity was observed, and on July 1st, the volcano was set at a normal alert level. North of Iliamna is Mount Spur. Now we're going to Mount Spur. Which is right over here. This is Mount Spur volcano. This volcano has been experiencing swarms of shallow earthquakes since February. It is currently on normal advisory level. For now, there's little concern. Heading south down the coast, seismologists are also monitoring the axial seamount. So, now we're going to go down here to the axial seamount. Let me get this straightened up just a little bit. So we have the axial seamount right here. This is a massive undersea volcano located 300 miles off the Oregon coast. It has been attracting attention for months as scientists prepare for an eruption they expect sometime in 2025. Because it's so far underwater, only scientists using an array of instruments will know about the eruption. Excuse me. The volcanoes are located along what's known the Ring of Fire, a 25,000 mile long horseshoe-shaped string of volcanoes in seismically active areas. So let's show you the Ring of Fire here, you guys. So let's back all the way out, and we come down here. The Ring of Fire starts all the way down here, comes all the way around the United States, Alaska, all the way over this way. It comes over into here a little bit. Let me see. Make sure I get this right. Okay, it comes over this way a little bit where the Challenger Deep is, the Marianas Trench. Then it comes out this way and down this way. So this is where it's at. It comes down and does a U-turn at the Challenger Trench. So I'm not great on the trenches, but the Philippine Trench is, let me see. So I don't have this backwards because I'm really bad at this. Okay, so you have the Philippines and the United States. Oops, let me get this correct here. Try to get this correct. So you have Ring of Fire comes around like this, all the way around and all the way down. So I'm trying to get this straight here because I'm looking at another picture here that'll help me, but it doesn't help very much. Okay, so you have the Aleutian Trench, which is here, the Middle America Trench, which is here. Down here you have the Peru-Chile Trench. Then you have the Kurite Trench, which is over this way. The Japan Trench, I believe, if I get this correct. Yeah. Then you have the Japan Trench, the Izubonin Trench, the Marianas Trench, the Bougainville Trench, the Tonga Trench, which is here, and comes down this way. So it's the Tonga Trench, and then the Kermadec Trench. And then over in this direction here, you have the Bougainville Trench. Okay, so it's a lot of things to figure out on here, and then of course the equator runs across the planet. So that's what I have for that. The volcanoes are located along the Ring of Fire. That is a 25,000-mile horseshoe-shaped string of volcanoes in seismically active areas that stretches from the southern tip of South America up along the west coast of the United States, across the coast of Alaska, down through Japan, and all the way to New Zealand. It is created by the Pacific Plate sinking below the North American Plate and is most seismically active and volcanically active zone in the world. And that's according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Eruptions in Hawaii, far to the west of Hawaii, and we have Hawaii here, Mount Kilauea continues to erupt. So let's go to Kilauea. And this is Kilauea here, you guys. Though as of July 11th, it has not been exhibiting the massive fountains of lava that had been taking place earlier in the month. On July 9th, USGS said that the most recent eruption had ended. Hawaii's volcanoes are not part of the Ring of Fire. The island chain was and is still being formed by the volcanic hotspot that has so far created 15 different volcanoes that stretch 3,800 miles across the Pacific. In Hawaii's case, the volcanoes are a result of heat source deep within the Earth's mantle. The plume of magma coming from that hotspot and the ocean floors remains stationary as the Pacific Plate slowly, 2 to 4 inches a year, moves over the top of it. This is why Hawaii's oldest volcanoes on Kauai are 5.5 million years old, while the newest on Big Island are only 700,000 years old and are still growing. All right, so that was our story about what's going on with the volcanoes. Puts a lot of things into perspective. However, when they say, don't worry, I worry. All right, so you guys, our next story is coming out of Greenland. And this one here, oops. This one here is a bit interesting. Okay, Greenland Village is coming face to face with a giant iceberg. Okay, so let's get the right place over here. And the name, I believe it's said in Narsut. So this is the area which is having an issue right this minute. And you can see that there are some icebergs around. So if you look, this is floating pieces of ice out here. Okay, so you would expect it to be cold here anyways, you guys. So authorities in northwestern Greenland are warning residents of a small coastal village to exercise caution as massive iceberg looms along the coast, raising fears of potential danger. There have been pictures that have been released showing giant wedges of ice towering over Narsut's homes, businesses, and boats. And let me see if I can show you. This is just one of the pictures. Okay, so this is a picture of these icebergs. So, as already known, there is a large iceberg near the harbor close to the Royal Greenland factory of Narsut. Residents of the village and visitors of Narsut are advised to be cautious as possible, and if possible, to travel to and from the settlement in the safest way. Shoppers are asked to avoid going to the store all at once, and those with mobility difficulties are urged to take extra care when heading to the store. The local emergency services are now prepared to respond if necessary. It's not the first time a Narsut has faced dangers of drifting chunks of ice. In July 2018, an iceberg estimated to weigh more than 10 million tons positioned itself just offshore of the village. And that is, I believe, it was located right over here. Let me see here. I got a picture of that. Okay, so that's where it was located, was here. So this is a Narsut, and the iceberg was located there. So when we're looking at it, it would have been located right in here. Imagery from NASA showed the giant chunk clearly visible from space, which triggered the evacuation of some residents due to the threat of the tsunami-like waves. The iceberg eventually drifted away from the settlement, sparing the coastal settlement that relies heavily on its fishing industry. Large icebergs are a common sight in Baffin Bay, but the surrounding terrain usually helps steer them clear of Narsut's harbor, which lies roughly 500 miles north from the Arctic Circle. According to NASA, the ice primarily originates along glaciers and ice shelves before drifting southward towards the Labrador Sea and Newfoundland. Officials did not say how long they expect the latest iceberg to be around, but encouraged residents to continue to exercise caution when sailing to and from the settlement. Okay, you guys, that's what I have for you today. I didn't see very many people talking about the icebergs that are going on, but I find it interesting and thought I would share. Anyways, you guys, please remember to tell someone you love them. Tomorrow is never promised, and make each day an adventure. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. Much love.